The type of trigger that we need to be done with if we want to be the center, the eye of the hurricane, that which does not move, that which does not waver, that clarity which does not flinch at the sight of something horrible. That's what is required if we wish to bring down into this earth those higher dimensional frequencies, which I believe you are ready to be an ambassador for. And so, if we can expand the amount of people, the number of people that are able to successfully be of service in this way, this powerfully, we can truly make a change with this retreat right here. We can truly cause a tsunami of triggerless people, triggerless ambassadors. Imagine, if you will, something happening that used to trigger you, that maybe even triggers you right now. Can you think of something, anything, whether it's a terrorist attack, or something really personal, something your partner says or does, or anything that happens in your local community, or something I say perhaps. Imagine something that triggers you, that has seemingly the power to extend a portion of your being, of your body, into that whirlwind, into that shitstorm. And then you wonder why your arm is full of shit, why you feel bad, in other words. Is it because you are attached to all the debris that's flying around inside that storm, that's being picked up? And you see, anything that's able to be picked up by a shitstorm literally is not yours to begin with. Because when we are in complete alignment with ourselves, we do not feel perturbed. We do not feel disturbed. We do not feel affected. We can feel moved. We can expand at the sight of what's happening. We can be in awe of the mystery that unfolds in physical reality. But we are not disturbed. We are not wavering from our integrity, from our alignment, from our dedication, from our focus, and from our conviction that the vision that we envision, the vision that we download, that we tap into, which is that already available fourth density field of information that wants to emerge from every cubic centimeter of our third density space-time reality. It wants to emerge like a flower taking up space. Fourth density energy wants to unfold inside out third density space-time vibration and transform it into a full-fledged fourth density vibration. And so in order to bring that out, we need to be tuned into the vision of that, and we need to be transcendent to the biases that we once held so dear. So imagine something that normally triggers you. Now imagine a version of yourself that's standing right next to you. Feel the trigger right here in your body, in your mind. So imagine something that disturbs you, something that you can think of, a memory perhaps, that disturbs you. And I'll just give you 20 seconds to conjure up something. Maybe close your eyes. Like, what's perhaps the most disturbing thing to you? What's the hardest to reconcile with the wisdom that we're sharing here and the love that we're talking about? What does not compute for you yet? What is not yet included in the one infinite creator's creation for you? What is that thing that stands out, that triggers you? Pick one, if you have many. Okay, got it? All right, can you feel it a little bit? Can you imagine it? You might not feel the full force of it as it would actually happen organically, but you can at least tap into the memory of how you got triggered before by this, correct? Okay, so pretend that that's you for a second, which is what you normally do when you get triggered. You pretend that that is you. And now envision next to you a version of yourself, looks exactly the same in terms of external appearance, an exact copy, clone of you, another version, except even though you guys are able to interface, you're able to see each other in this reality. From the personal point of view, that version of you is actually perceiving a parallel reality. They're actually experiencing themselves differently. It's a different point of view of the same scenario. Imagine that version of you, which is another version of you. It's as intimate to you as the one you just pretended to be. And imagine what it would be like for that version of yourself who does not get triggered by anything. anything. There's no taboos. There's no activism. There's no feminism. There is no any kind of ism. Triggerism. There's no triggerism. That version of you is absolutely centered in the eye of the hurricane. There is no flinching happening whatsoever. These eyes do not blink. Same scenario. So imagine this version of you witnessing the same scenario that triggered the other version of you. Version A, let's call the trigger happy version of you, version A. And the triggerless version of you, version B. How does version B experience the same scenario? And don't bring with you the biases from version A. Really imagine being outside of your bubble of everything that you know and hold dear, all your beliefs. Yes, that includes your ideas of compassion. That includes your ideas of activism. That includes your ideas of what's right and wrong. For a second, bypass all of that. Leave behind all of that, knowing that you can never lose your humanity. You can never lose your heart. You can never lose your sensory perceptions and your intuition. So don't fear stepping outside of the biased self. You'll be quite all right. You'll be quite loving. And imagine what this version, this triggerless version, absolutely unable to get triggered, what does this version experience in the same scenario, looking at the same event? Feel that for a bit. Can you feel the difference? Who is scared by the prospect of seeing live without trigger? Raise your hand if you feel a little hesitancy. Okay, that's good. So you like it. So you know that this is the way to go. So you know that your biased self is not actually what you prefer. You prefer the triggerless one, the powerful one, the free one, the one that cannot be disturbed by ideas of right and wrong, by ideas of this should not be part of creation, or anything along those lines. You want that. You know it's possible. And you know that there's greater wisdom and love to be found in that version of you than in the version A that gets triggered. Correct? So you know that's good. That's wisdom. That's maturity. To know that the one you keep choosing is actually not the wisest option. Now, simultaneous with that wisdom and maturity then comes the stupidity of why don't you change? I don't hear any responses. Who believes that they can't change? Raise your hand. Who believes that they cannot change their perspective? One person. That's great. Welcome. Good luck this week. Who believes they can change, but, hold on, who believes that they can change, however, they don't know how to? Raise your hand. They feel a difficulty, a visceral blockage when it comes to changing into the version that they know is the better version of themselves. Who feels they can, it's possible, but they don't feel clear on how to? Raise your hand. Okay, I'd say that's about half the room, 1/3 to about half the room. Okay. Who believes they can change, but they don't simply because they're not ready to? But when they are ready, they will change. They already know how to change, but they appreciate their own stubbornness, their own insistence, and they're okay with that. Who is okay with not changing even though they know they're messing themselves up? Raise your hand. Who knows they can change, and this is the first moment they're like, oh yeah, I can kind of change. Anyone? Nobody? Okay, interesting. Oh, okay, a few people. Maybe that's not a category. Maybe I just made that up. What then? Are you not inspired for that change? Are you not inspired to change? Why have you not already transcended the biases that you have? It's a good question. Why have you not already transcended the biases, or transformed, if you will? Yes? She says she thinks it's habit.
And what other people think.
What other people think. Okay, thank you. Habit and what other people think. Apply the same thing to what other people think. Imagine the version of you that cares about what other people think, and you will inevitably get caught up in the storm. Inevitably, a part of your body will be ripped off, right? If you want to stay fully centered with every part of your body, and by body, I mean being. In this case, it's an analogy. If with your full body, your full being, you wish to be centered, you wish to channel power, you wish to channel inspiration and love and light wherever you go, however you go about things, then you have to not care about what other people think. So imagine the version of you that gets triggered by what other people think. Feel that for 20 seconds. And you can do the same at home. Imagine the version of you that you know very well that is afraid of what other people think. That when they are exposed, that when they put themselves out there, that when they change or believe something else, they are afraid of how their families, partners, or communities will respond. Or even total strangers, perhaps. Imagine that version, feel that version that you know very well. Now imagine again a parallel version of you that lives in a parallel perspective that just appeared right next to you. Looks exactly as you do, has exactly the same life, except completely different perspective. Triggerless, centered, eye of the hurricane, powerful, free. Shift your consciousness from this body to that body. Do it now. Feel the difference. Instantly feel the difference. Feel the triggerlessness. Feel the centeredness. Feel the power. Feel the strength. Feel the freedom. Feel the fearlessness. How does this version of you care about what other people think? It doesn't at all. Imagine what that would be like to not care at all. Not just a little bit not caring. Not just like, well, I'm a little afraid, but I'm going to do it anyway, which is great. That's a great step. But imagine actually being absolutely rid of, free of, the idea, the possibility to consider what other people might think of you. How would that feel in your body? How would that feel in your consciousness, in your state of being? Imagine being absolutely oblivious, not at the expense of integrity, but absolutely oblivious to what other people think of you. Absolutely ignorant. Ignorance is bliss in this case. Can you feel that? Can you feel the difference? Can you imagine it? Imagine it for another 10 seconds. What would it be like to be absolutely, absolutely trigger-free? Cannot be disturbed by what anyone thinks, doesn't even notice what other people think, isn't even consumed with what other people think. It would not inhibit any of your actions, any of your movements, any of your inspirations, any of your passions from fully coming out of you into the service, into creation. Can you feel that? Can you feel being so in the stream of your alignment, in the stream of your creation process, in the stream of who you are as an authentic being, as a higher self manifests here through a body and a mind? So in alignment, so in that stream, so accelerated, that you don't even have the thought, let me stop my flow to consider what other people think of my flow. Let me doubt my higher self and trust sheep. Products of society, slaves to the system. Let me trust them over this higher self which perceives of many, 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 many parallel creations, existences all at once, knows exactly what's best for me at any given moment. Let me stop my joy. Let me stop me bringing love and light into this planet at the crucial time. Let me stop and wait until someone else that has no clue about who they are, let alone who I am, to tell me, please go ahead and continue your journey. And if they don't, I won't. Sometimes it helps to deconstruct that which we consider normal and look at it from a hilarious point of view so that we can actually see that it's not benefiting us, because what keeps us habitually tied to those ideas is not habit, it is the belief that it serves us. So if we can deconstruct the thing we believe serves us, even when we know better, but we still keep doing it, and we have this contradictory energy within ourselves. We have these, as I call them, mixed frequencies within our system that don't allow us to be Superman, Superwoman, clear, powerful, free, enjoying ourselves. Those things that we know are not in our benefit, but we keep doing, they're not because they are habits, because we are aware of them. So they can't be habits. We have choice. We always have free will. So then what's the reason we keep choosing that? It's because because somehow we think, we perceive there's still a portion of our mind, a portion of our consciousness that believes there is benefit to be gained in that. There is a payoff in it. That's the only reason habit continues, or the illusion of habit continues. And so, it helps to deconstruct the things that we believe serves us when we know they don't, and look at them from the weirdest but clearest possible angles so that we can actually deconstruct these sort of subconscious ideas of benefit and see there is no benefit to be gained here. It's a ridiculous thing to do. When you can positively, lovingly ridicule yourself, you are truly free from whatever used to block you, whatever used to hold you back. Does that make sense? Yeah. Good. Thank you. And so, imagine that version of you which does not care what other people think. When you're in the stream, when you're in your alignment, when you're in your passion, you know that's the only way to be. It's the only way to navigate. It's the only way to create. So you're free. In that state, you're free. But you're so consumed with it. I could almost say busy with it, but consumed is a better word. You're so consumed with that energy flow, with that benefit, with that joy, with that expression, that sense that comes from higher self into the body and then expresses itself to the illusion of the world. To be in alignment with that stream, to flow down that river, to paddle along the stream instead of against the current. In that state, there is no way you're going to stop and think what other people think of you. Imagine this version B of you that already lives that way, has already lived that way for 10 years. 10 years ago, it had an epic awakening. And ever since, it has totally forgotten its past self, total amnesia towards the trigger self. It's completely oblivious to any of these practices that don't make sense. Any of these considerations of other people's thoughts about your stream. They don't exist. They never, ever, ever, ever arise. It's not just that you muster the courage to go and do your thing. Again, that's a great step. It's that version of yourself actually does not care whatsoever. Does not care. Imagine it, shift to it, and develop instant sudden amnesia to version A. Just forget what it was like to be you. Feel better already? More powerful? The sense of power sometimes is looked down upon by spiritual teachings, but I just want you to understand that the sense of power is the sense of being connected. Not power over others, but power, just power. That strength, that inner sense of power and strength and confidence, that is genuine, that is authentic, that cannot be faked. If it's faked, life will let you know, and you're all clear and aligned and with an integrity enough to be able to recognize when you did something that doesn't jive with the natural morale of your higher self. You know. So you don't have to fear that part of yourself. You don't have to fear becoming too powerful for your own good, because you won't. You can't. You will only gain as much sense of power and sense of strength as you are capable of handling at that time. Does that make sense?